it was one day I came to work after he told me that, and I had that epiphany when he said, get out the shop. My wife was mad at me. She didn't come to work. All my staff was sick. Something was going on. I was sitting in the shop, and I don't have kids yet, but I was like, I don't want to be one day like 35 years old, sitting right here, standing up at this shop, printing t-shirts, and I'm rushing to go pick him up from preschool.
What's going on, millionaires? It's your guy Kai Speaks. You watching the $1 Million Mind podcast. I'm in here with my guy Tony Smith, aka Tuned In Tony. So if you tuned in, man, you are in for a good treat because this guy, he's like the celebrity doctor, right? Like the guests that y'all seen on the show from the past, like Will, Tez, Benny, Darius, and Dion most recently, like y'all see them links in them bios. Y'all click the links. Y'all might have seen what these guys got offerings from their webinars, workshops, etc. Well, this guy Tony is the one who like really makes it happen. He's the doctor behind it all, designing these pages, putting together these funnels, and really making the dream come true for a lot of entrepreneurs out there. And when we talk about digital assets, we talk about digital marketing, and this is really a tool that sets apart the solopreneur and the entrepreneur to like get into like business ownership, like being able to make revenue passively, being able to make money in your sleep. When they say all these things, just know it's some type of funnel or some type of digital asset tied to it. So without further ado, I'm gonna pass the mic and the camera off to my guy, Tuned In Tony. Tony, tell our fans a little bit about yourself and how you got started with the funnels.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys for inviting me to your platform. So like you said, my name's Tony. And my story actually started with just like compounding skills, right? So, and the reason why I say that is a lot of people always look at like what you do now and they don't look at the backstory. So it's like the iceberg, right? You see the tip of the iceberg, but you don't see everything that's all underneath it. And it really started from the foundation of graphic design. So when I was 18 years old, like I always had this entrepreneurial knack, right?
Yeah.
And that's sometimes when they're like, you either got it or you don't. So when I was 18 years old, I wanted to start a website called, well, really the main point was I wanted to be able to network with people and barter. But at 18, the internet wasn't what it was when I was 18.
Got you.
So we didn't have money at 18. You know what I'm saying? It was like I was working at Food City. You know what I mean? So I was like, what if I put a website together called The Young Successors that would help me get like young entrepreneurs and we just work together, right? That never really took off. But what it forced me to do was I had to learn graphic design because I couldn't pay for it. So then I was at a community college because I had graduated high school like a semester early. So I was like doing a little get the credits early program. And I had found like this program called GIMP, which was like a knockoff Photoshop. Then I went into learning Photoshop through YouTube University, and it was difficult, but I figured out how to do Photoshop. Then once I went to University of Tennessee for college, I started making party flyers for like all the nightclubs, right?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? All the local nightclubs. And then that kind of gave me like my, like starting me as a graphic designer. My name starting to be kind of cool. It gave me opportunities to pledge Alpha because they were like, oh, we need the flyer guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
we want to get the flyer guy.
Yeah, so they got me online. So then that was cool. And then, as you start going through different skill sets, you start seeing that like, hey, there's elevation points. So I was like, how could I make more? Because making logos and business cards and flyers was kind of $75, $50. It's kind of dried up a little bit, right? So you're like, what's the next level? Met a friend, his name was Darnell, and he was doing t-shirts. So then we kind of came together, started a little college brand called In-House Graphics because we did everything in-house. So I would do the designs. He had the t-shirt printing equipment. We came together. That led me into doing t-shirts for local businesses, some of those same clubs, just because people needed shirts and I was wholesaling them. So what I was able to do with the screen printer is I'd find established screen printers and then I would wholesale through them. They would charge me like $75 per color for a print, and the shirt would be like $2 on a Gildan shirt. I would go sell the shirt for like $5. I never had to manually touch the shirt, like print it at least. And so I was making like $2.50 to $4 per shirt. Companies for their races, their businesses would order, 25 to 100 shirts. So in college, you could see like, $100 to $400 per order from just managing it was pretty nice, right? So I did that for several years on college, built my name at the University of Tennessee as like the t-shirt guy. But then as me pledging Alpha, I hated the way Greek apparel looked. So then it was like so ugly, but the t-shirt spot that I worked at was doing e-commerce. And I was like, dang, they don't have to go find their clients. They're just running Facebook ads, coming to work, looking at the screen, shipping t-shirts out. So then that's when I moved into like, let me try to switch this Greek stuff up. So I had my graphic design skill. I had this new skill of t-shirts. And then I created a e-commerce store. I had 3 designs I started with just 6 designs total. I started with like Alpha, Omega, AKA, and Delta. Put up a site, and this when Facebook ads were like really, really cheap. I woke up the next morning with $600 in sales. So this was years ago. So then I was like, oh.
Like the next day?
The next morning.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, wow. And that was because no one was really running e-com ads for the Greek line. So then next thing I know is like I started going in that direction because I was like, I don't got to go find customers. I don't got to deal with customers. So then the fact that I didn't have to do that anymore, that just kind of like saved me time or whatever, right? Then it was like, okay, how do I take this to another level? That's when I went from literally like outsourcing to buying my own equipment, right? Probably the first mistake that I made.
Okay,
right?
okay. I was about to say,
because it was a good time. I had my own building, had my equipment, but a lot of entrepreneurs, we think by cutting out the middleman, taking on this equipment, it's the best way to do it. But it turned me into a print shop versus an e-commerce store, right? And we can, even though I do funnels, we can talk about just those business principles of how somebody takes on what they shouldn't and when they should stay focused on just like selling units.
Right, because now you add in a whole nother job for yourself.
A job, keyword job.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you went from building this specialized Greek brand to now it's like, I'm doing shirts for people at church for their little birthday parties and all that because you're trying to pay bills and pay for your equipment. So now you're just taking on what you're technically capable of. Your mom's like, oh, Miss Cindy needs these shirts. And you just doing stuff now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that happens.
But the Greek apparel brand did pretty good. It was called Letters Greek Apparel. I phased out of that though because I got tired of dealing with all the licensing.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of
politics, you know what I'm saying, that came with it. So after dealing with the expensive licensing, I think 9 organizations, they want $2,000 to $5,000 per one. You know what I'm saying? That racks up a lot of money, right? You got to get every design approved, 10% commissions or whatever. That's a whole nother story. So then I said, well, I got this humongous email list of African-American customers. I just switched it to a brand called Historically Black Apparel. Luckily, I dropped that brand in 2020 and the whole BLM movement was going crazy. That blend blew up really quick. And I was working besides my friends Support Black College. That was just a cool time. Then what led me to where I am now was I got burnt out with the operations of being in a t-shirt shop and a warehouse and all of that. So I took those design skills, and that one design skill had been moving through different industries.
Right.
Flyers, t-shirts, e-com, to now when I did a funnel for somebody, because I had like, when I made this transition, my friend Justin had left Support Black Colleges, right? And that brand did over like $5 million in a year. It was huge, but it was just the woes of fulfillment and operation. And he called me and it was like, sometimes we hear things and it's like, we don't listen to them. We think they go one end or the other. But he was like, you got to get out this shop. You got to go digital like me completely. And I was like, yeah, maybe in 2 years. He was like, nah, I think like 6 months, bro. You got to make this
So what do you
change.
think was keeping you in the shop?
Equipment. I had built this whole factory. I had a 5,000 square foot warehouse, you know what I'm saying? All this type of stuff in Atlanta. And then you're just like, change is hard, right? So then now that we making this change, like it was one day I came to work after he told me that. And I had that epiphany when he said, get out the shop. My wife was mad at me. She didn't come to work. All my staff was sick. Something was going on. I was sitting in the shop, and I don't have kids yet, but I was like, I don't want to be one day like 35 years old, sitting right here, standing up at this shop, printing t-shirts, and I'm rushing to go pick them up from preschool. That was the epiphany that hit me, and I just was like, I got to make this shift. And my energy left, right? The business just week after week, crashing. I went down bad, you know what I'm saying? Like, because if you're not in it, it's hard to maintain.
It's hard to maintain.
You know, money got crazy tight, all this type of stuff. And what I always tell people is when you're down, the worst thing to do is not be around, right? A lot of people want to stay in the house, not get out, not network, all of that. Well, luckily, one of my best friends, Justin Phillips, gave me an opportunity to build a funnel for this campaign called Mission Black Friday. Flyers and funnels kind of have the same design. They're
Same
like
feel.
straight up and
Yeah.
down. Most funnels, just how I saw in the Greek apparel, that the clothes were ugly. I didn't like them. I came into the funnel game and I kind of was a disruptor, right? I was like, these funnels look scammy, blocky, ugly. I took that design skill, put it into the funnels, did it for Justin on Mission Black Friday, and then it was like, who made that? You see what I'm saying? It was something different. So then when I go back to being down bad, Justin had invited me to Circular CEO's conference.
And this is what time?
This was like a year and a half ago. 2
Okay.
years. Because when I made that shift, it was like my t-shirt business was paying for everything. So then when it crashed, it was like, dang, everything was down. So then he invited me to Circular CEOs. And then I was like, I don't really want to go. I just paid my staff and I got like $300 left. Like, I'm straight, you know what I'm saying? So I went, you know what I mean? And then picked up my guy, Justin. Tez was with me, Dantes Akram. We went to there. I remember I had to pay for parking. These guys rich, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, but I'm driving.
I'm paying for parking.
Let me pay for this parking just so I look like I fit in right now, you know what I'm saying? We go in there and then Justin has been a good person of like connecting, right? And Will Rivera was there from Ecom Degree University. And I kind of was like, what's up, Will? Because I had met him before briefly.
Yeah.
And then we started talking and then I showed him the funnel I made for Justin. And he was like, well, I just started a mastermind called Modern Day MBA and I don't really like our funnel guy. He's not responsive. I'll pay you $1,500 per funnel. So then I was like, all right, cool. I did the funnel for Will. He said he'd give me like 4 orders per month probably. And it was like, even though my revenue was less in this new business, it was cleared. It was like $1,500, build the funnel, submit it, boom. And I was
Because like no overhead, right?
No overhead at that point. Now I got a team, so it's different.
Yeah.
But at that point, I was like, this $1,500 is mine. I was doing like 70,000 revenue in the t-shirt business, but it was wash, you know what I'm saying? Rent, staff, t-shirts, ads, all that stuff. And then it was like, I could do this from home. You know what I'm saying? I can do this, just from my laptop, wherever. It was clear. And then the level of clientele was extremely more high. You know what I'm saying? And it really got my brain moving. And that's the direction that I went in. And I just went full force with like being better than everybody at design. You know what I'm saying? But the biggest thing, instead of just design, because Justin and I like geek out about this offer stuff, Russell Brunson, everything so much to where like I understood sales funnel and coaching psychology on an extremely high level. So now when it's like I give you the consultation, the strategy, and I got the best funnels, it's like it just made me prime. But what I would also say too, though, a slight unfair advantage that I had was the fact that my close friends were big coaches. And I was able to leverage working with them to blow my brand up. So words of advice that I would give to anybody, because there's a lot of people that I think are somewhat better than me sometimes when it comes to funnels and designs, but they don't have the platform that I have, right? Is whatever industry that you're in, find people that are making the noise, that are getting the attention, and just work for them for free.
I was about to ask that.
And people don't like the word work for free, but it has a mission behind it.
It's a mission.
I want to work with these 4 or 5 top people for 3 months for free just to build this amazing portfolio and leverage their likeness. You know what I mean?
And also, if you feel like your work truly speaks for itself, if you feel like you shouldn't be working for free, you do it for those people. If it's the right people, they're going to put you in position just like you said Justin did. And then it kind of compounded after that.
Yep.
Wow.
100%.
Now, how did you feel in the beginning? Because I know you were in this space mentally where you were feeling like you were tapping out at the warehouse because you've created several jobs for yourself at this point.
Yeah.
To now, even though it's less overhead, essentially you still created another job for yourself. Was it like an immediate cutoff, or were you still trying to fulfill these other jobs while doing this new job of making funnels? Like, what did that transition period look like?
Yeah, it was more so like I was teetering in the funnel business, trying to figure out like what can remove me from the t-shirt business. And then it was like, as I started getting more funnel jobs, and then this business started making even less sense and less sense day by day, it became more of just like a burden. It was just like, how do I fulfill these last orders just so I could just stop? But then sometimes even in the hardest part was like, let's say I was at 90 something percent like done, with the t-shirt business. There was a day where I just had to just cancel it. I did the best that I could do, fulfilled the most orders I could, but then I just was like, it's done. I just deleted the ship station, cold turkey, and just moved in another direction. And that's another hard thing for us to do, because we have to sometimes say, like, when is the last day that I'm going to stop and move in a new direction? And then one of my favorite books ever is a short book that I recommend everyone read called Who Moved My Cheese? Super short book. And a lot of times in life, what that book talks about is change is inevitable, right? Change is scary to people, though. But a lot of times we don't even notice that in whatever situation that we're in, the cheese was already getting smaller and smaller day by day. It just wasn't gone yet. So you got to be able to pivot and make changes pretty much before you wreck. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I saw with the t-shirt business. And then I'm glad that I was able to pivot before it was too late. You know what I mean?
Wow, man, it's a lot to unpack, and I think the biggest thing and the thing that's most relatable is because we kind of talked about like the benefits of college before we jumped on here, Tony. And for you, it sounds like, because what did you go to college for? Like, what was the like? I'm gonna get a degree in this. Like, what was that? What was that goal?
I started in college in the business school for logistics. And then they told me that I had a 3.0 in these certain business classes. So I had above a 3, but in this certain business class, I had like a 2.8. Because I had almost failed accounting class. That was like the hardest class at UT, but I dropped out so I wouldn't have that mark. I dropped out of that class. And then it was like, well, if you finish this class or redo it, you're going to be here an additional year. And I was really set on graduating in 4 years, which I did.
Right.
So I just was like, let me switch to public relations, because it was in the advertising school. So I switched to public relations, graduated in public relations. And then talking about college was, entrepreneur has always been in me, right? Literally from like being a kid, breaking down remote control cars and building them back. You know what I'm saying? To like, funny story, when I was in high school, I used to sell knockoff Jordans and Louis Vuitton bags that I would get from Alibaba and sell them on eBay. Right?
Okay.
So all of that to where I never got offered a job after college, but I did all the right things. I went to school, graduated in 4 years. I had internships for Scripps, which is like Turner Broadcasting here in Atlanta. And then they just didn't have jobs for me. But it was cool. It never really affected me because I already had the t-shirt business. You know what I'm saying? I was already doing graphic design. I didn't care. My mom put a bet on me. She was like, if you don't make $100,000 in revenue, you're going to go get a job. So she let me be free for a year to do my thing. And then I think I did like 103 or whatever. So she never bothered me again. Yeah.
So like, man, like speaking back on the college experience, so you ended up graduating in public relations. Do you feel like, first, I want to touch on how the fact that you said that entrepreneurship is like always in you, right? And I feel like a lot of people say that, and how you also said it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
What was the turn? Because I get you were creative and I get that you thought outside the box, but I don't necessarily feel like for every person are those two things the formula to being a successful entrepreneur. What do you feel like other characteristics kind of like opened your eyes to like, oh yeah, no, this entrepreneurship stuff is for me, and you can easily identify it in other people as well that have been successful entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so the reason why the key characteristics I see in an entrepreneur that makes them built for entrepreneurship is almost like an animal in the wild, right? So this may sound cliche, but it's like knowing how to hunt. Like in entrepreneurship, there's so many swings of ups and downs, right? I could literally be up on a Monday and then 2 weeks later be down. And then it doesn't throw me off. It just makes me more focused. So it's like, dang, this isn't a good week. What am I going to do to go make it happen? And then literally, like, once you channel that energy, you notice sales teams closing deals, paid in full, whatever. And it's like, it's a certain type of energy that you can channel to make things happen. And that's where entrepreneurship is like that innate characteristic in you versus some people who are like, well, this is hard. I can't do this. And they're waiting for something to fall in their lap. That's the biggest characteristic. Can you hunt or can you not? Yeah.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. And that's probably why people who take on sales as like a career also make good entrepreneurs, because they've already learned that skill of hunting.
Yes.
Gotcha. And like, I know you said you and Justin, you typically geeked over like the process of funnels and stuff like that and offers. Where was your advantage? Like, how did you pick up the skill of sales? And the psychology of sales to make it, make you good with the copy and stuff like that on these funnels.
Yeah, so I would say my sales experience came from understanding the psychology. Some people are great people, but like for me, it's more like just knowing the psychology of what a customer is thinking. So what I love so much in this funnel world is that like I'm more of like a systems guy because I'm in the background building the funnels and everything. But I understand the front end and the back end of funnels, sales systems, all of that. And by literally studying psychology, having trial and error, I started to understand a lot of people make the mistake of expecting people to purchase from them because of they invested in a funnel, because they put out an ad. But you got to put yourself in the shoes of your customer. Your customer sitting on the couch, scrolling through Instagram, not thinking about you. How do I get them to stop on my ad or stop on my funnel and make a decision? So what I'm thinking about as thinking of that customer, what is their pain point? The biggest thing that I go off of is pain points. When you go to Lowe's to buy new mulch for your yard because the spring is coming up, that pain point is your yard doesn't look pretty right now. And you want to solve that, right? So I put that in every sales situation is whatever customer avatar you're going at, make sure you highlight the issue that they're going through and then provide a glimpse of the solution, which makes them curious. So now in the funnel, they're going to opt in. You're going to get the name, phone number, email because they're interested in whatever that solution is. Now that you got the lead, it's your job to nurture that lead and show them that you have what they need. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. Tony, I wanna stick in the area of college for a little bit because I feel like our conversation before, I feel like it's very relatable, and a lot of people, especially those listening to this show, are in the position like, do I go to college? Do I send my kids to college? Is there a true benefit nowadays? And we've had guests on the show that you've even named, like Will, Tez. I seen you worked with Benny as well, Darius and Dion, all people we've had on the show. But for Will, he even talks about how he's a 17-year-old felon who dropped out of college. Tez, a teen dad. And I'm not really sure to the extent that he shares of his college experience, but I know he's been doing this for a long time as well, with or without, the college experience and the college degree. I got a stat here that I want to read to you. I want to get your thoughts on it from the National Center of Educational Statistics. They said of 18 to 24-year-olds, the enrollment rate decreased from 41% in 2010 to 38% in 2021. That means like of only like 18 to 24 years old, only 38% of them are enrolled into college. Yeah. By the time 2021 came about, with the rise of social media and the influence of a lot of these coaches and consultants that we've both worked with, where do you feel like college is now as far as the value it gives to those looking to get into entrepreneurship, business, just making money, period?
Yeah.
If that's the goal, right? To make money.
Yeah. I think that the thing with college, right, is college is good with strategy like anything else is. I think what's the shift that's happening in college now, if you look at the way generations have came about. So let's say, for instance, my grandmother who's still living is 95 years old. And for her, it was like college wasn't really that accessible, correct? So then the next thing was my mother and father's generation was the first real generation, and they're 60. So that would be a generation that was the first able to really go to school.
Right.
So, and maybe they couldn't go to school. They either could or they couldn't.
Because they made it inaccessible through money.
Exactly,
right.
Through money. So our generation, me being 33, was the real generation that 100% possibly could go to school. So you had a lot of pressure from my parents' generation of, I don't care what my kid does, they just have to go to school. And of course, the economy was in a different industry too, where it's like people worked at jobs for 40 years in my parents' generation, right? So they're pushing that pressure of like, did you send your kids to school? And it was also probably a stain if you couldn't send your kids to school, which created this mass amount of like, I don't care what they do, they just need to get a degree. The thing that has shifted now is that we've seen that a lot of people are now leaving with tons of debt, and it's not really being crazy beneficial. And it's because they didn't go to school with strategy. They were told, go to school, just get the degree, everything else will work itself out later, right?
Right.
All that has changed. So now, if you do want to go to school, because I had a blast in college, I pledged Alpha, like I said, had a lot of parties. The network that I met in college was amazing. All these guys are great, doing good things in their life. I wouldn't want to give that back for anything, right? But if you go to school without strategy, you may end up with just a big bill at the end and then doing something completely different. So I would say go to school with the thought of what you want to do and how you're going to use it so that you can leverage school and use it to your advantage versus just paying them money. You know what I mean? And I kind of see the same thing in the coaching space too, right? And the reason why I say that is people will ask me, what do you notice about the coaches that do best that you work with and the coaches that don't do anything?
Right.
The sad thing is there will be people that pay me money, will build out a system, and it won't do anything for them because they don't apply. They don't execute, right? Just like the person that goes to college and thinks that just because they have the degree that they spent $100,000 on is going to do something for them. It's the person that said, hey, this is going to work for me. I'm going to get what I need and I'm going to run with it so that I can get to the next level. Those are the people, the coaches that do the best that work with me. And just like someone who went to college would do better. And that's why we see lawyers, doctors usually do better because it's strategy. It's specialized.
You got to be very intentional on why you went. Yeah,
exactly.
Cause you got to be a very intentional person to go to school for 12 years.
Yeah.
Spend $400,000 to $500,000
yes.
in school fees for sure to come out and be like, I'm going to be a doctor. No, that's a good point. And even for me, I kind of am on the other side of that because I wouldn't necessarily say I went to school with a strategy or with that intention, but I did go because, I went to the same HBCU as my mom, was pushed that, you could be an accountant. You're good at the math, you're good at numbers and stuff like that. You could do accounting. So I just kind of followed that. And I guess that was my plan, but it fell through because I didn't really like it after doing the internship. But what changed for me was I also pledged Alpha and just being involved on campus because one thing Alpha did do for me was open my eyes that it's bigger than school, right? Like you got to get involved. And for me, I guess my advice would be for anyone who does take that route of going to college and they don't have the plan, they don't know what they necessarily want to do, start by just getting involved on campus because then that can even open your doors up and, like you said, get you that network that you need. So even if you graduate not necessarily knowing what you want to do afterwards, you got a network of people that you could potentially work with afterwards.
Right, for sure.
So that was definitely what helped me. And I'm also noticing as we progress, we talked about what happened in 2021, that decrease in the enrollment. But then in 2022, another thing that came out was the average median of weekly earnings for college graduates or people with bachelor's degrees. They reported it to be like $1,400 a month, right? So now we looking at, I'm going to school, I got this huge bill, but I don't $1,400 a week. I'm sorry, but I can only make $1,400 a week.
Yeah.
But my weekly bills is probably close to $800 to $1,000.
Yeah.
Which leaves me with $400 a week to live off of.
Yeah.
And then you go back to social media and you see all these people your age, younger, making bank off of ads, making bank off of digital products. What do you feel like is like a good? Because you've been doing a lot of funnels. What is like a sustainable model for funnels? Is it any one thing from a digital product to e-commerce? Because I'm sure you can make funnels for all these different things. I know you said that the person has to work, but is there a product also that is tied to this, or even a type of product that's tied to a really good funnel?
Yeah. So what I would say is there's more so a funnel that can work for anything, right? So for anyone who is working, they feel like they're not making enough money, or they looking to do this full time, whatever it may be, right? My favorite funnel is called a video sales letter funnel. The reason why is because it's all based on getting leads by hosting that pain point, people giving you their contact information. Then that lead goes into your Go High Level, your CRM. Then there's a video that explains what you're skilled at, and you're selling what you do at any time of the day. And you're asking people to either purchase or book a call, right? Then next thing you know, either you're taking that call to close them or you have a sales team that takes that call. The only issue that I see with people that I wanted to be clear to is I could be the guy that just says, let me take your money, right? But people don't understand that you have to have traffic. The funnel is only a mechanism to route people, just like when you put a funnel in your car, the oil goes to a certain place. So we got to still focus on content, paid ads, whatever it may be, to get people to see what you're selling. Because a lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, I'm just going to get the funnel and it's just going to do everything.
And they got the funnel, but it was like, who's watching? Who's clicking it?
Yeah, it's just a tool. That's all it is. Yeah. So
how is the funnel helping you better organize your business to do something with that traffic? I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah. So perfect. The funnel is the perfect tool that you need to route traffic, store traffic, and nurture traffic. Random people, strangers, land on your funnel, opt in, name, phone number, email. They're now in a system where they're getting followed up on automations, text messages are getting sent, and then there's always needs to be a strategy or a goal for when these automations and communications are going out. What is that person going to do? The place where people mess up in the funnel business is they're not doing it to truly solve problems and sell. They're doing it to make money. And that's why their mind is cloudy and they don't think of how simple it is to sell, right? Hey, your yard looks dry. You need more mulch. I've got mulch, 5 bags for $10. Do you want it? It's that simple. But because we're not really thinking about solving people's problems, and a lot of people are coming in here just for quick bucks, they're clouding their mind and making it more difficult when it's not. We just got to provide a solution. The funnel is just routing people that are warm and interested into our system and following up with them so that they can make their purchase, book their call, and then eventually become a customer. Yeah.
Solving problems.
Solving problems.
At the end of the day, right? You have a lot of people come up with products before they even think what the product is even, what the problem is even solving.
Yes, because they're just like, oh, I've seen, him 500, Justin, Will Rivera, all these guys are making money. I'm going to just run to Tony, get a funnel real quick, and I'm going to be them too. But they're not looking at that. Him 500 came into the game to help people learn credit and financial literacy. Justin came in the game to teach people how to start a clothing brand from scratch. Will figured out how to do Amazon and was like, this is how you can build a store, so you could do this too. So if you go back to the foundation of what all these top coaches are doing, they looked at something that could solve a problem to help somebody do something. So that's where everyone who wants to be a coach needs to switch their mind from looking at the big bucks and be like, what problem am I solving for people? When you're solving the problem for people, you don't have to hard sell.
Yeah. Now the trend with those guys that you brought up was their coaches, educators. Are those typically the only people that funnel? Like, would a funnel still work if I wasn't trying to like teach or educate or something? I just had a product that I wanted to sell, like that was a service or something. Yeah. Do funnels still work for those those types as well?
So funnels work outside of coaching. They can help dramatically with people selling just a product, and funnels are great for especially people in fitness who sell like supplements and whey proteins.
Okay,
but let's think about it this way: instead of selling a product and then the customer is leaving, what else does the customer need, right? So I want to use a carpet cleaning service, for example. A lot of times service-based industries come into the game and they do the one thing you called them for. But if I called you in here to clean my carpet, what if you had upsells of putting flea and tick powder in the carpet because I have pets, or baseboard stuff, or cleaning the fans and stuff? Because you're already in there in the sales cycle. The second purchase is even easier to get. But we need to present people with complementary items that they need. Perfect example, U-Haul. You get the U-Haul, what's the first thing they ask you? Do you want a damage waiver? Do you want insurance? Do you want boxes, dollies, tape, all that? You started spending $20. Next thing you know, you're at $300 for this U-Haul because they upsold you on stuff that you needed.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I know we started this conversation off the gate talking about like funnels and the benefits of it. But I feel like a lot of people need the context too. So like, break down what is a funnel. And I know we talked about some of the values of it and why people need them. but just break down the psychology of a funnel in its
Yeah.
essence.
Yeah, so the psychology of a funnel, what makes it better than a traditional website is the fact that traditional websites present choice overload. So what do I mean by that? They've got a home button, an about button, this button, and this button. Next thing you know, there's 9 options for me to take on one page, and it's like, I don't know what to do. Phone rings, I'm gone, right? The funnel is strategic. Each page has one situation that we should be doing, one call to action. Opt in, give me your information. Next page, watch this video and click this button. Next page, fill out this calendar. Next page, check your email. It's very customer journey based so that we keep people focused on what the overall action is, which may be either to buy or to book a call. And that's just what makes funnels better, because out of that customer journey, I now got their phone number and email. So if they go away, guess what? They're on my email list. I probably send them a free ebook. They got to learn about me, which I'm going to still email them. And then hopefully they watch my video, booked a call, and purchase my product. Unlike your traditional website, we're like, wow, this site's pretty. Up next, you know what I mean? And nothing happens. So you're spending all these ad dollars. You're spending these marketing dollars, sending people to traditional websites, and nothing's happening. That's the difference.
So, taking your own personal experience for your business, right? Do you have a funnel for your business of making funnels, or do you have a website?
I have a funnel.
You have a funnel.
Yeah, a VSL funnel.
Okay, got you. Would you have is there any need for you to have a website personally?
Yeah, so we don't like the funnel business. We're not here to just like tear down all websites.
Okay.
I think your website is still good for credibility. Like for my agency, I want to like rebrand our website to where it lists like all of our projects and portfolio. But the funnels are your marketing tool when you're running your ads, you're running your traffic.
Like it's good for sales specifically.
Sales specific. So as I'm like going to that guy who's sitting on the couch scrolling, you know, probably like after work, when he clicks learn more, shop now, I want it to be one action. Give me your information. The next action, boom, boom, boom. But if it's a traditional website, he scrolls, oh, it's pretty. And then he clicks X and he goes back to Instagram. You know what I'm saying?
That's some game right there, because me having a website, I've even noticed like I'll get the notifications when you have a site visitor, and it's like I'll see like hundreds sometimes, and it'll be a weekend. I'm like, dang, I had a lot of people, but you don't see no actions after that, right? It's like, so I can even speak from personal experience on why I might even be looking at a funnel for different purposes than just kind of. I guess if you want just to see, for people to see your services, you want people to see your portfolio, like you said, a website is needed. But if you want people to act, like you said, you want to limit the amount of actions that they can take.
Yeah, because think about it. Like I said, this is not rocket science, right? We just have to think as the customer that we want, right? So that customer is not thinking about you. He doesn't care how much you spend on your funnel, your website, or whatever, right? He's let's go back to the guy fixing his yard. He's at Lowe's right now, found some free time. He's scrolling on his phone. Wow, this ad looks interesting. He clicks learn more. Well, when he goes to your website and you got your open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, you take photos, photography, whatever. This is how you started your company. Here's pictures of yourself. Okay, that's cool. Then he's off and he's right back to Instagram or whatever he's doing. You didn't tell him to take an action. You see what I'm saying? And that's what the funnel does. It says, are you looking to have the best yard this summer? You see what I'm saying? Learn how our mulching techniques will make you have the best looking yard with the most curb appeal to where your neighbors will be taking pictures of your yard. If to learn more, unlock this video. And you start thinking, that's my pain point. I want to have a better yard than my neighbor this year. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have the best yard in the neighborhood. So I'm going to act and give him my name, phone number, and email so I can learn how to have the best yard. Then he's going to give me a video, which is going to just be inform to transform, not too much information, right? And then it's going to say, yo, by doing this, this, and this, you can have the best yard. Book a call with our team so we can get you out there. And let's just spin this, right? This whole funnel right now could literally just be for a yard service that comes out once a month and puts the chemicals in your yard to make you have the best thing.
Right.
But it all started from saying, do you want to have the best yard? Learn more. You clicked on it. You gave them the information. You booked a call with them. Next thing you know, $45 a month, these people are coming out, putting the chemicals in your yard and your yard looking green. But it started from a pain point. You see what I'm saying?
Now, I would imagine, because you said your favorite one is that VSL funnel, right? The
Yeah.
video sales letter. I would imagine that that video is crucial. Like
Crucial. It's our main selling point.
yeah. So the person, like, what's the other, like, what am I, if I'm not that skilled in sales or if I'm not that skilled in talking, I most likely want to pay somebody to even make that video for me.
Yeah.
Because that's like the first thing.
It's your salesperson, and it's working for you all times of the day. And what makes it better than like webinars and everything is it's short, it's direct. It's like 2 to 5 minutes, hitting on pain points. And then, you know, like I geek out about psychology, right? So Russell Brunson, when people see funnels and they always say secret 1, 2, or 3, and they're like, oh, all these secrets. There's a psychology to that. Secret number 1 is always going to talk about the vehicle, right? So you want to let a customer know, like, hey, you were probably trying to do this, but you were using the wrong vehicle. So going back to the yard guy, you were probably outside spraying weed begone in the summertime. The vehicle was just wrong. You didn't know that you need to be doing this work during the fall and all of this type of stuff, right? Then you got a secret number 2. So secret number 1 was the vehicle. Secret number 2 is tearing down internal beliefs of why you think that you can't do something, right? Oh, I don't have enough time. You know, I don't understand yards. I don't understand chemicals. I don't understand how the sun makes the stuff grow. So I can't do that, right? Then secret number 3 is tearing down external beliefs. Well, you know, it doesn't really make that much sense because no one else in my neighborhood has green grass or like, you know, just other reasons, right? So psychological, when you sell somebody, you want to show them that, hey, it's not your fault. You just weren't in the right vehicle. Secret number 2, you want to show them that, hey, you may think you can't do this, but let me show you why you can do this. And then secret number 3, you may think that because of your wife, your family, other friends, neighbors, whatever, that you can't do it as well. And let's tear down all those external beliefs. And now you've given someone every reason to why they can be successful in this by tearing down those 3 things. So psychology.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. So you didn't even go to school for psychology.
Nah.
Like, all right. So let's talk about the intention, man. Like,
Yeah.
talk about the intentions of like the time you've been spending these years, like picking up this skill of psychology. You know, at least how people think and how they buy and make purchases. Like, what were you doing before you got to this point now? Like,
Yeah.
how much time were you spending? Are you on YouTube? Are you picking up books? Like, what was your daily routine like?
I think where the psychology really hit to understand all of this at such a high level is trial and error with everything, right?
Okay.
It was like I was so ingrained into this by building a business that had multiple customers. And this is what I would also say to back it up. When you're building a business, you most likely don't have the best processes at the beginning.
Right.
So next thing you know, I got a bunch of clients and I'm just doing everything for them. I'm making mistakes, I'm fixing mistakes, and that's what let me learn of how to be good at everything. But I also loved what I did. So I'm reading, I'm watching Alex Hormozy, I'm listening to coaches, and it goes back to that situation of the person that's doing something, you know, every day more. It just compounds and compounds that my skill level is going to be further than the competitor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
you said processes, and I really like that. It was trial and error and things like that. And speaking on the fact that most people don't have, you know, these, like, your business today, if you stay consistent with it, looks 1,000% different than what your business will look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Talk about the processes that you need or the structure and foundations that you need before even getting a funnel. Like, because some people might say just jump right into the funnel and think it'll work. Even if you put ads behind it, it may still, you know, flunk. What are some of the things that might be missing in that case?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that's going to be missing in processes that people need before they start selling is how are you going to fulfill once you get the sale? Because you can come to me to get a funnel, and then let's say we launch your funnel in 4 weeks and you get a sale. How do you fulfill, right? People don't want to talk about fulfillment. It's not the pretty part. They just want to talk about sales. So now, okay, if you come to me and I get you 5 sales, how do you get these customers to be appreciated and get the product they bought from you without them charging back? All those things people don't talk about. They don't talk about not fulfilling. They don't talk about heavy chargeback, Stripe accounts being knocked down. So that's the other part of business that also has to be thought about. And that goes back to my earlier point, when people are most likely just thinking about money and they're not thinking about solving that problem for their customer.
Man, talk about that, especially the chargebacks. I definitely, you rarely hear people talk about the chargebacks and the fact that are they happening because of the lack of fulfillment, or is it taking too long? What was the main cause of a chargeback?
Yeah, I would say when you're in business, chargebacks come from not having good processes, right? I remember my first chargeback was $10,000, right? Well, I had smaller ones when I was in clothes, but like in this business, $10,000 chargeback. Oh my gosh, I could have cried. You know
Right,
what I'm
because
saying?
like you could have spent that
Yeah.
before fully receiving it.
Yeah, so you see what I'm saying? So like we've been, and the chargeback came from not us working. I'm actively talking to the customer, work behind closed doors, but the customer didn't have transparency of what was going on, right? So fulfillment and processes and getting stuff to people on time and them feeling included is extremely important for any service-based business. Now, if you're selling digital products, I see a lot of people just making small mistakes getting chargebacks. Like their funnel isn't set up to just deliver the product effectively. And then people get scared when they purchase the money and don't see a confirmation. So little things like that can easily cause chargebacks. So you always, whether it's high ticket, mid ticket, low ticket, how are we going to fulfill this order, and then double check that it's been fulfilled to make the customer happy. They got more leverage than you when it comes to chargebacks. All they got to do is call their bank and hit a button.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you're proactive and not reactive.
So I'm thinking you probably want to create something like an after sale process. Like what, like just
Onboarding is extremely
onboarding,
important.
like just like how the funnel is mapping out the experience of the future customer. You want to also map out the experience after that, after they hit that pay button.
Yeah.
Got you. Got you. Going back to the college thing, right? Because I feel like this is always going to be a conversation, because more and more do we start to see that people are self-determinant to where they can make their own money with or without a college degree or college education. Are you requiring your future kids to go to college?
This is a question I don't know. And the reason why is because I said it's not that college is the enemy now. It's just that we have to have strategy with what we do. And going back to looking at, I had a great experience, but just looking at my generation and the amount of people that went to school and it didn't do much for them, or they didn't finish and now they got all this debt. The thing has to be is like, hey, this is not a cheap task. College is about what, $25,000 per year? That's $100,000. Does it make sense to invest $100,000 to get this kid to the next level? If it does, go to school. If it doesn't, learn a trade, learn a skill, right? And that's what we have to look at. College is not mandatory, but it's just an investment into our future to get to the next level.
And I wouldn't even play devil's advocate and take it a bit further, because you are probably the first person, Tony, that I've had on the show that is like me as it pertains to having interacted with so many coaches and consultants that you have. So like us saying that college is not a requirement, also on the flip side, you got people who make this investment into college, but then also won't make that same or even like a percentage of that investment to a coach or consultant, right? So of the coaches and consultants that you've worked with, right, if their ticket was, let's say, just $30,000, to get from point A to point B, knowing what you know, if it's business related, right? Is that worth more than paying $30,000 a year, right, for a 4-year college degree?
Yeah. So I would say,
and why would it be worth more?
Yeah, great question. So the reason why I would say potentially investing in a coach over college is a better decision is because it's more tailored and it's less expensive, right? So what I mean by that is going back to strategy. College is great for shaping your personality, building a network, right? The coaching program maybe not be the best route for building the network, but with the right coach, they're going to show you the exact steps of how to get to exactly where you want to be. Now, you have to do your own due diligence in vetting who the coach is. Don't go give anyone a $30,000 for this. Look at their social proof. Look at their reviews, right? And if it does make sense and it does fit in your strategy, then you can move forward with what they want. And what you also have to do too, in order for it to make sense at all, is you have to be the executor. Because let's think about this. You went to college, right? You're not going to call college a scam, but you paid them $100,000 and they gave you your paper and you went on. They weren't checking on you to make sure that you got job placement. They weren't saying, let me call someone and get you a job. So if you don't do anything, it's not going to do anything. And it's the same thing with a mentor. I've seen multiple of my friends as being coaches have gone through people's program and then learned the exact strategies and plays, got on the right platforms, and have shot up. You know what I'm saying? So it's all strategy. You know what I'm saying? It's all strategy. It's all vetting. But maybe there's a mix of both. You go to college and get this. But I think in innate, it's not even just about coaching. You need a mentor in anything that you do. You know
even after college, right?
Even after college, you need a mentor.
Yeah, and I think what I'm struggling with is also like a lot of the things you said. I'm thinking like they might not even be at the mindset. Like let's say you do skip college, right? You may not even be in the correct the proper mind to fully benefit off of that $30,000 coach. I do feel like there are certain things that you get from the college experience that just force you to mature. At least from my experience of going to an HBCU, there was just certain things that was going on, you know, in the school that just made us mature at a rapid rate. And I don't know if I would have matured at that same rate had I not went to the school that I went to.
Not saying this is everybody that didn't go to school, but I see a big difference in people that went to college and didn't. College shapes your mind in a great way because it teaches you of turning in tasks on time, you know, being humble to, you know, your teachers, working with groups, you know, being on your own. So it definitely shapes you a lot, but it still all boils down to whether you join a coaching program or you go to school. None of it works if you don't work. You know what I mean? I've seen people who did not go to school. Let's use my friend like Dantes Akram or whatever, you know, his story, like teen dad, all this type of stuff. But it's because he wanted something for himself. Yeah. And then they go to these coaches, and this is where the coach comes in, guys. At the end of the day, you got to pay people for their time, right? So then you go to the coach. He tells you the exact place to do what to do, but you got to invest in yourself. I remember when I first started coaching, I lost a lot of money running ads and all that stuff. People lose $1,000 with starting their online coaching program and think that it's a scam. No, you got to lose money. You got to learn. These people are just telling you what to do, and you're paying for their time. Simple.
Yeah. Speaking of the losing money and the investment, I mean, after the investment of a funnel, what would you say that people typically need to be able to properly run that traffic? Whether it's paid ads, organic, what would be the monthly budget into your business to make the funnel, you know, do what it needs to do?
So there's not a set price, right? It's more so just your campaign. You've got, I'll tell you this one student that I've had, right? He didn't have an advertising budget, but like after we built his funnel, he went on Instagram Live like every single day, right? Let's even look at like Ellie Talks Money. She has an amazing story. Was married, got divorced, had 3 kids with the guy she was married to. COVID hit. All she had was her stimulus check. She bought a phone, a ring light, and she went on live every single day for 2 hours, multiple times a day, and just built up an audience. And those people trusted her and they bought from her. But people don't want to do that type of work. You know what I'm saying? They just want to like pay for it. So now let's talk about the people that get the funnel and try to pay for the ads, but they're not getting traction, right? It's a math equation. If a cost per lead on Facebook ads is $5, right? Write this ads down, $5. All right. If you want 100 leads per day, not buyers, just people to opt into your funnel to get emails, what's that? That's $500, right? Well, out of those 100 leads, we know that we may get 20% to even interact, to follow up on a text message. And then out of that, maybe 5 to 10% actually will get on a call and buy. Right. So it breaks down through math. But then a lot of times I see people like, oh, let's spend $25 a day. And then they're seeing the charge hit their account and they're like, I'm not seeing anything. And it's just because the math isn't mathing. Because what, $25 a day, that's what, 5 people opting into your phone. It's just not enough.
Right.
People.
And if you got, and if you, I think you got to differentiate the lead is not the customer, right? Exactly. So it's like if it costs $5 per lead, that's just a set of eyeballs to know what you do. To
Yes.
so it costs $500 to get 100 of them, and let's say you got a 10% close rate, then you got 10 people.
Yeah.
And if you got a $50 offer,
Mm-hmm.
you only made five. You only made with the ad spend.
Exactly.
So
And and I want to say this too. Let's look at it like, because there's a lot of people that jump into the funnel business or the coaching business for a get rich quick scheme, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm definitely not like get rich quick scheme. I'm not the person that wants to support the scammer. That's not me, right? I build great systems. But you have to look at, it's just like starting a business. Starting a coaching business is a business. If I went and opened up a donut shop, right? Just because I got a lease, put some stuff on the wall and filled up with donuts does not mean that people want to come shop with me over Krispy Kreme, Dunkin' Donuts, or Harold's Donuts, right? I got to still go out and put in the footwork to get customers to think of me, maybe by mailing out mailers or sending postcards, buying TV commercials locally. You have to work and get people to see you in order them to start coming over to you and shop with you.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what people don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
They think just buying the funnel is everything. And in my business, that's where it's like I operate off integrity. I just want people to understand the full spectrum of how to become a real coach and do it the right way. And that means they got to work outside of the funnel.
Right. And you also are an artist as well, with the craft that you put into, designing these funnels. That said, do you also, since you've made so many at this point, are you also at a point now where you can like tell a person like, hey, this video that you want to use on this VSL is not going to perform. You need to re-record it this way.
100%.
Okay, gotcha.
I'll give you an example. So several clients that I have right now, they're doing webinars. And I work with a lot of new coaches. And in the ad space, when you're making an ad, a psychology, remember, is hook, story, offer. Give a bold hook that gives someone's attention. Give a quick story that makes it relatable. Then make your offer, which is the call to action, right? People be making 2-minute videos, 1-minute videos talking about themselves. But what we got to think about is people are here to get their problem solved, not to learn about you.
Right.
Number one mistake coaches make.
So the length of the video is not wrong. It's the context in the video.
Both are. Now,
okay, gotcha.
So the length of the video, when I go into my Facebook ad manager, most people only watch your ad for 3 to 4 seconds and they're gone. That's why you hook, story, offer. So I got to hook you in with a great headline or a great, introduction, whatever I say, so you can watch it past those 3 to 4 seconds. So to give you a quick example, most people say, yo, it's your guy. They call me tuned in. I'm gone. I'm not here anymore, right? But then if you start the hook with like, do you want more views for your podcast in the next 20 days? You're like, I want more views for my podcast in the next 20 days. Now you're listening. Mm-hmm. So you see, like, it's psychology, and that's a part that just cannot be missed if you want to be successful in anything that you do.
Got you. So hook, story, offer, and then we're looking at a video that's less than a minute.
30 seconds.
30 seconds max.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, this is a hot take from Brandon, also known as Brandon Shot Me. He's a producer, videographer out here. He said that the shift to social media is also changing the format in which we're recording these. I know in the past, a lot of these videos have been shot like vertically. Are we now in the time where we want to start shooting these things, or horizontally? Now we want to start shooting these things portrait for these funnels?
For the funnel, I would go horizontal just because the page is wide.
Got you.
But for the ads, a lot of ads are going to be vertical, like portrait style.
Got you. Now, because check this out, because I do feel like at one point I agree with him, but I'm also like, I'm here with the funnel doctor, so I'm gonna hear what you got to say too. Yeah. But like, even though this a web page, aren't most people viewing these pages from their phone, and isn't the format going to look a little bit different?
Yeah, so most people are viewing, like 95+% is looking at your site through the phone. Through the phone on mobile, right? Okay. But you still want the video horizontal, because another thing of psychology on the funnel is above the fold. Above the fold is anything before you scroll. Above the fold, I need to see headline, video, call to action button. If my video is vertical, it's going to take up the all the screen.
Space. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's going to take up all the real estate. Mm-hmm. So you won't be able to see that headline.
Miss the whole messaging. It's like, how do I know he's even talking to me?
Right. Or you got a headline and then you got half of the video and then you got to scroll to see the other half.
And you may not even get to the button.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing we need. Like the headline is the most important, but the button is that action that we need them to take.
Boom. I'm glad I asked you that, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad I asked you that because this is from the mind of the person who makes it, where the other one is like the video, the visual aesthetic, which I could see both points, but that your explanation makes a lot of sense. As we starting to wrap things up, Tony, I really want to get your perspective on this huge, I guess, output of new coaches that we see nowadays. Like I know you said that you gave some people advice to vet out their coaches and things like that. And you speaking on your integrity on like only working with people who are trusted sources. Do you feel like a lot of coaches that are new are getting into the space a little prematurely, right? Not saying that they're there to scam people, they're to rip people off, but they may be in the space before they have the schools, the skills to really bring that transformation that they're hoping to bring.
Yeah, so I would say it's never too early to start.
Never too early to
start. Have to start.
Okay.
Right? But their expectations are completely off, right? So when I work with a high level coach, they get the funnel, I give it to them, they operate it correctly. So then when I work with new coaches, I had a guy, and I'm gonna use an example, right? One of my clients said, "Hey Tony, will the funnel be done by this date? Because this is the date I plan to quit my job and just do this full time."
No, that don't even make sense. That don't even make sense.
Doesn't make no sense. But in his head, they think like this funnel goes out, magnetizes the world, rips money out their pocket. And in a sense, it can, but you got to bring the traffic there for it to magnetize.
Hence why you need that job, so you have some bread to funnel. Yeah, to funnel
exactly.
the funnel. Okay, got you. So all right, so it's never too early to start. What are some expectations? Okay, I guess not what are some expectations they should set.
What are some expectations are like, people think the day that they launch is the day that their coaching business changes forever.
Right.
The day that you launch is probably going to be crickets. You know what I'm saying? But unless you already had an audience and there was strategy. So like my guy, Justin, his first webinar, he had like 900 people in there. But he was on Clubhouse. Remember that Clubhouse era?
Clubhouse era, yeah.
He was like nurturing and going on live and making this happen. So that's where his traffic was coming from. People think like, I'm going to get a funnel and turn my GoDaddy domain on, and then the world's going to be like, oh, snap, he got a funnel now. Let me go. You know, it doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm. Can you connect the funnel to an already existing domain? Like I already got a website.
Yeah, you can.
I can just create a funnel and hook it up to that domain without disrupting the website.
Yeah, you could have just like, say your domain was dadgang. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It'd just be like dadgang.com/training.
Gotcha. And then that would be the funnel page. Gotcha. Okay. Man, Tony, I would love for you to tell our listeners a little bit about where to find you, like anything you got special going on, any like specials, news, anything you want to share. Now's the time to share with the audience.
Yeah. So once again, y'all, my name's Tuned In Tony. Thanks for having me. You can find me on Instagram at Tuned In Tony, on YouTube at Tuned In Tony. And if you want to learn a little bit about how this funnel stuff works, and you're a coach that's already rocking and rolling, and you want to systemize and optimize, funnelhackerworkshop.com. It's a free 15-minute training, VSL, where you can literally learn what I do and see if it makes sense for you. And if you do like that, book a call, me and my team. And then if it works out, we could possibly work together and grow your business to another level, like we've done for so many other coaches and 15 other clients that have won the 2 Comma Club Award. So, like I said, guys, Tuned In Tony.
Hey. Let me clear my throat, Tone.
All right.
Bro, Tony, it's been a pleasure having you on here. Appreciate you taking time out of your Thursday in the rain, but it look like the sun's starting to shine out a little bit. Yep. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We definitely going to be in touch and tapped in with you. Okay. I'm going to be tuned in, for everything you got going on. But it's a pleasure having you on here.
My God.
And to our listeners, it's been a pleasure having y'all tuned in every single Monday for those new episodes. We got some special things brewing. Tuesdays we're gonna start doing some live workshops and some live trainings on YouTube. I know it's been a minute since we last had those, but y'all stay tuned. Make sure you smash that like button, share, comment, and especially if you got some value from today's episode, make sure you send it to a friend that's a future coach, future consultant that just wants to get a little bit more information on this funnel game. I'm your guy Kai Speaks. We out.